From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. I'm Curtis Fuller.
And I'm Alexis Rogers. Todd Portun is many things here in Greater Cincinnati. He is a lawyer, father, and friend.
But for so many, it's his time as a public servant that has showed best who Todd Portun really is. For nearly 30 years, Todd Portun was a familiar face on the local political scene. 8 years as a Cincinnati City Council member, and since 2000, he served on the Board of County Commissioners.
Doing things for the right reasons, because it's right and it's just and it's good for the community, that's his legacy. It will always be his legacy.
Always a fighter, having battled a quarter century of tumors and debilitating health, his fight with cancer forced him to make a tough political decision in 2019, to forego another campaign.
I love all of you, and this has been a great ride. And there's still a little bit more of the ride to go.
Portun was a West Side kid who went off to college and set records in track. His work ethic in the community was respected by those on all sides of the political spectrum. We witnessed how he never let setbacks stop him from working for citizens throughout the county. He described his life as tremendously blessed.
And if that means I get to live for a long time, that's great. And if that means that the Lord has something else in mind for me, then I'm comfortable with that too.
Portun's humble spirit and strong message were once again on display when the community came together to pay tribute to him in November.
There's not a single thing that I've been able to do in my life that did not involve the support and the help and the tenacity and the never say never and all of that of others.
This was to be Commissioner Portun's last meeting about an hour ago. About an hour ago, we learned he's not going to make it.
A high fever caused Portun to miss his final commission meeting in December.
He approached everything he did with thoughtfulness and hard work, and there aren't many like him.
Two surprises: the unveiling of a new name for the County Administration Building. It will now be known as the Todd B. Portun Center for County Government. City Council member David Mann had the second surprise.
We call it a secondary renaming of Court Street between Walnut and Main as Todd Portun Way.
Well, we want to talk now to just a couple of folks who worked closely with Todd Portun during his time with the County Commission.
And joining us now is Commissioner Denise Treehouse and his former Chief of Staff, Victoria Parks. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
When
us.
we look at all the things that Commissioner Portun did, I mean, he just impacted so many people. What do you think stands out the most to you both? You both worked very closely with him.
I think Todd was a big thinker and a bit of a visionary, and so some of the things that we have seen happen in Hamilton County have been a result of his vision. Todd is not a small thinker guy, and so you do have to adjust to that as a colleague, but I got to tell you, some of the big things we've done, especially on the banks, things like that, have been accomplished because of Todd.
Inspiring. He's always trying to inspire others, and I think you've talked a lot about that too, Victoria.
That's right. Todd is a complete, he inspires everybody that he comes across, and I think that just the fact that he has had the ability to overcome so many health obstacles, I always think that just looking at him inspires us to be better people.
Wow.
It's amazing to me because Cincinnati has grown so much, right? Hamilton County has grown so much. So you have some folks who have known about Todd since he first started, and then you have some that were just getting introduced to him within the last 5 or so years, but everyone seems to still have this relationship with either him or his work. You know, what's your response to that as his colleagues to see that type of impact across generations?
Well, the thing about Todd, too, is that he introduced himself to everybody. I mean, he was insistent on knowing everyone in all of the outlying communities in Hamilton County. It's hard to do. Hamilton County is a big place, but Todd was everywhere. He went into every community. He loved people. And you know it when you meet Todd. He wants to engage. He wants to understand what you have to offer. And so I think that's part of the engaging part about him, and why people respond to him like they do.
How difficult has it been? Because it's been difficult for us to see it from the outside, if you will, his health challenge. But how difficult has it been the past couple of years, just seeing him go through this?
It has been challenging. But the other thing about Todd is we never bet against him. He has overcome so much in the past that I think that we always believed that he would overcome this too. But since his illness has gotten the best of him, it's difficult, but he still inspires us because he still looks for the best in everything. Todd considers his illness a blessing. So that, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing.
We've seen them both get choked up.
Oh,
absolutely.
I was afraid they were going to get choked up now because I know how emotional this has been for both of you, because you've worked so closely with him for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was his aide at City Hall. Yeah. So Todd and I go way back to the 90s. I worked on his campaigns, and my kids sang songs about Todd. I mean, you know, it just, so I've known Todd a long time and had a lot of respect for him that whole time. He was struggling back then, remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's when it all started, was back in the 90s. And he worked through that. He worked from his hospital bed, he worked from his home, and he's done that throughout every iteration of this, but now it's become much more difficult. The Todd Portun retired. It's like, what are you doing? You know, right. So you know at that point that he is really at a point in his life where he can no longer do the work, and because he takes it so seriously, he doesn't want to do it half. You know, so he's got to be full steam, and so it's been challenging for him. It's been challenging for everyone, I think, to watch him go through this. But he continues to be an inspiration, like Victoria said, and we're all better for it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
All right, well, that does it for this segment. We're going to thank you both for being here. We should point out that Victoria, Todd recommended her to replace him on the county commission.
That he did.
Thank you very much. And we will be back in just a moment.
So we're going to talk to two men whom you know really well, who also know Todd Portun really well. So let me introduce former Mayor Dwight Tillery, former Mayor David Manis. So David has so many titles, and current council member. So welcome, both of you. Let's go back, because David, Todd took your seat on City Council, right, thanks to Dwight actually, but you knew him before that.
That's right. He was a practicing attorney. I was a practicing attorney, and we had a couple of cases where we were adversaries. And
How was that going against Todd?
He's very smart and an excellent lawyer, and so I knew I'd been in a battle.
Right.
So I was kind of glad he moved into the political sphere.
Right.
You know, but he was with a major firm and had a great practice. But I think it's a tribute to him that he said, "What I want to do is public service," and that's the direction I'm going.
That's fantastic. And so when you decided to go for Congress, then Mayor Tillery appointed him to your seat on City Council.
Well, I had to win the seat for Congress, and then there was a vacancy.
Right,
yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
That's right, absolutely. So tell us about that.
Well, I actually met Todd on a boat ride, and he expressed interest, but he didn't think that this upcoming election was something that he wanted to get into. And so, as fate would have it, because of Mayor Mann going to Congress, it created a vacancy. And I talked to Todd about it, and he was really delighted. And that was true of many of the other members of our caucus, if you will.
Right. And he was one of the leaders in getting the banks moving forward. Tell us about some of the things you all accomplished.
Well, the banks actually came after I was gone, so
okay,
there may be David might be able to comment on that. But I would say that the way David has described him, he brought those same skills to council. And so we had a number of our own battles, as I did with a number of other people on city council.
Friendly battles, though.
Yes,
yeah.
he was really a force to be reckoned with. The thing that I, at least from the political perspective about Todd, it was that Todd really had a real sensitivity towards the underserved and the black community in particular. He seemed to me, of all of our white members, and I mean no disrespect to them, but he seemed more in tune. He seemed more understanding, and he was a person that, you know, would be always there on those issues that we confronted. And so we also became personally very good friends.
Right.
And I love Todd. We could consider each other as brothers, and I've been a friend with him when he ran for county commissioner, supported him, and we continued to talk. He was very helpful. He helped, he played a hand in helping the health gap get started, which
Right. He sure did.
people don't know, and continued to support the health
That's
gap.
fantastic.
So he's a wonderful guy.
And I know that David, you've had a lot of interaction with him, and we've run out of time, but since you've been on city council and now he's on the county commission, I know you guys cleaned up the MSD, and you've made a lot of progress together as well.
That's absolutely right. And those qualities that I saw early on when we were competing as lawyers remain. He's a very able person, very committed, and as Dwight says, he's determined to make a difference. And bless him, he does and has. Yes, yes.
Right, such a great legacy.
Yeah.
Thank you both of you
Sure.
for sharing that with
Okay.
us. And we'll be right back in a moment with Curtis and Alexis.
Giving to those in need despite his own health battle.
When Let's Talk Cincy returns, how Todd Portun's generosity is helping the homeless here in Cincinnati to never give up. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing to learn more about the impact of former City Council member and Commissioner Todd Portun. I'm here now with the former Clerk of Courts and Commissioner Greg Hartman, and David Mann, former mayor, is staying with us. Talk about your relationship with Todd.
Well, we were on different sides of the political aisle, and he was an amazing individual. I called Todd Cincinnati's first populist. He gave everyone a voice, no matter what the issue, and the issues that we dealt with became difficult. And he would hear from every citizen that it negatively affected, and sometimes that was a challenge because we had other things we had to move on to do. But Todd had the biggest heart of anybody I've ever worked with.
You know, it's always good to hear that, especially in today's climate. It seems like everyone is at odds. I remember Mayor Barry saying to me how the civility is so important in politics, and it seems as though Todd was aware of that as well. Huh?
Oh, I think so. And since I've come back to council, we've had some intense discussions and meetings about MSD, about the banks, the music venue, mass transportation, tax levies for the transportation, the like. And sometimes the discussions are touch heated, but at the end of the day, I always felt like, hey, this is a man who cares about this community, and our disagreements have to do with honestly held different points of view, but this is a man who cares about us all.
And Greg, I would think that's what makes politics fun, if you will. I mean, you all are working for the same purpose to help all the citizens. And yeah, you're going to disagree, but you get behind closed doors sometimes, shake hands, and say, hey, let's work together on this.
I had a tremendous relationship with Todd, and you know, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I mean, at the end of the day, we were making decisions for 800,000 people in Hamilton County, and we got better decisions because Todd was there.
We talked about his work with the homeless and really connecting with people. You remember some situations where people came in?
Well, you know, nobody ever would have thought the county would be involved in working with the city to really redefine how we address the problem of homelessness. And with the Republican majority, Todd had a big role in bringing us as Republicans into that issue. We passed it unanimously, and we chipped in and are providing better services in this community for homelessness. And I was proud to be part of that, and Todd was a big reason that we got involved in that issue.
Wow. Pretty amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that he has done. It is really, really amazing. Let's send it back over to Alexis now.
Well, when it comes to the philanthropy work of Todd Portune, it didn't stop with his cancer diagnosis. Even after stepping down as Hamilton County Commissioner, he still worked to help people in need.
He's a real-life superhero. He certainly is.
Welcome aboard the Portune Express. Come on in and stay warm.
These seats have transported thousands of people out of the cold.
Nobody is better than me, and nobody's underneath me, that we're all in the human race together, and that it's our responsibility to provide that hand up to the person who's still suffering.
Homeless Outreach, Maslow's Army, says the bus is a living example, fitting for its namesake, longtime Hamilton County Commissioner and human rights advocate Todd Portune. A sincere relationship that started with a phone call.
So he called me up and he said, I want to come. He had just had his leg amputated. Days before, his leg was amputated just above his knee. And he wanted to come down and be a part of the outreach.
The relationship between Portune and Maslow's Army continues to grow, with the base understanding that we are all more alike than we think.
I mean, this is a super tough guy. Do you think people realize how tough of a guy Todd Portune really is?
I don't think that anybody really can really fully comprehend what it takes to be Todd Portune every day.
And it's by his example that he leads every day, starting with his struggle to get up out of bed and ending with him sitting, making legislation, protecting those less fortunate in our community.
Sam Landis and Brian Gregory spend many days with Portune post his time on the commission. They say understanding Todd starts with understanding who brought him in this world.
His father would invite the janitor and his family to come over for dinner once a week. They were an African-American family and in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Portune's days of fighting for the underdog will continue beyond his time in office.
And I've done a lot of research. Maslow's Army is the first fully operational outreach that has been supported by a county commissioner in America. And that's from the work of Todd Portune, Commissioner Todd Portune.
Just like the experience on the Express, spending time with Portune is all about the lessons you learn along the ride.
He could have given up many months ago, and he knew that if he would have given up, then he wouldn't have bought this extra time with his friends and family and loved ones and continuing to make the impact that he's made in the greater Cincinnati area. That is a true sacrifice.
A servant and friend who will always be on the hearts of many.
Just want to tell you I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. I'm glad everything's going well.
This phone call, a tender reminder to give people their flowers while they're still here.
I really thank you for your service. I think so many people do, and you continue to inspire many, so thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for your service and your joy of heart.
When he gets to that next place, when he finds his heaven, he'll be up there running with the angels, and he will have run an amazing race here on earth, and he'll hear the words, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Come take your reward."
We continue to hear all of these themes of his character when it comes to him just being a good person, and it's been awesome to hear all throughout the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that you were on the bus. I was on that bus as well, and it's a little rocky at times,
Yes.
but it serves a great purpose, no doubt. Well, next on Let's Talk Cincy, a friendship between a runner and his track coach spanning decades.
A look at their bond and lessons they learned through their time together. Hi there and welcome back. Sometimes in life, the people who inspire you can really help lead you to the path to your destiny.
For Commissioner Todd Portune, one person was his Oberlin track coach and mentor, Tommy Smith, the Olympic gold medalist.
Old and the young.
Yeah, old and the old. Young and the young, yeah, young and the young. When he was recruiting me, my father had died just 3 years before that. And as a 14-year-old, that's a tough time to lose a father. Yeah. And so I was searching for men in positions of authority that I could look up to. And I didn't realize that I was going to get this man who had digested so much, who had been through so much, whose experiences had empowered him, the lessons that he shared, the importance of being involved in things that are greater than yourself. He shared insights into what was going on in '68 with me, which a special privilege that I carry in my heart forever. I really treasured those talks, and I've carried them with me for my whole life, and they've instilled so much in me in terms of what I do. And I love this man. I love him.
We go back, don't we? Gosh, being from backwoods of Texas, I'm brought to California to work in the white man's labor fields.
Mm-hmm.
I viewed my dad being verbally and physically abused. And I had to watch it because I couldn't do anything else. If someone was doing that to him, imagine what they could do to me, and he couldn't do anything about it. I'm one of these kids that believes something bigger than I. And I always believed when anyone has a position of authority, a position of sight over matter, you got to use that proactively to help those who don't have a platform at all.
Although their hardships were birthed from different places, the will to fight continues to be the guiding light to initiate change.
I didn't understand it as a young person, but I understand it today. You can't do this on your own. I mean, I can't react to an amputated leg, going through chemotherapy, all the other things I had before that, 15 years losing my mobility, when being an athlete and fit was so important in my life at one point. How do you lose all that and still be so happy and so positive about life? It's because it's grace. And a lot of it too is then what you learn from the people that God has put in your life. And so in my case, that was Coach. We're all products of our experience. And everyone's opinion, when you encounter someone, my opinion is no more valid than the person that I've met. Because just as I'm a product of my experience, so is the person that I'm talking with. We need to listen to each other and then truly communicate on addressing the things that regrettably separate us so that we can all come together.
That was a good interview between them. I think a lot of people didn't know that fact and their relationship.
It's a very tight one.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've known Todd for almost 30 years, and it was tough seeing him go through this. But as we talked earlier, inspiring because he kept his head up the entire time. Well, thanks for joining us for this edition of Let's Talk Cincy. We want to hear from you.
Please email us your ideas at ltc@WLWT.com. You can also see full episodes on our website. Just go to the Let's Talk Cincy menu tab. And of course, we will see you next time. Stay encouraged.